What is up? Welcome back to Softcore History. I am your host, Rob Fox, joined as always by Dan Regester.
You look lovely today, Rob.
Do I?
Yeah.
Why are you saying that? Why
You
you
got
flattering?
rosy cheeks.
That's
You got your backwards Wyoming State Penitentiary prison hat. And then you got, what shirt is that? It's a St. Louis, Missouri sweatshirt.
No, it's Emo's Pizza.
Oh, it's Emo's Pizza.
Yeah, it does say
Some of the finest cuisine in all the land.
Some would say the best style of pizza that was ever created.
I think it's just you that says that, but I'll give it to you today.
No, it's me and a bunch of other homers today. Yeah, Dan's very excited because he didn't lose a lot of money right before this show started. We started production about 40 minutes later than we needed to because his golfer that he bet on today live
Yeah. It was a live bullet.
won a playoff.
Yeah.
We were just sitting there watching.
I know this is evergreen content, but Nick Taylor will forever be in my heart. So that's like the third time he's bailed me out of a huge hole.
Yeah, it's evergreen because he'll probably do it again.
Nick Taylor will always bail me out.
And it's evergreen because you'll always be in a hole.
I'll never dig myself out.
So
I'm very good at putting myself in the hole.
In many ways, that is an evergreen part of this show. Yeah. There are so many nights where we'll literally just be like, hey, we had started late today because Dan was waiting on a bet to hit.
Mm-hmm. Or lose.
Or not hit. And I was actually saying before the show started that it would have been better if he lost because nobody likes to laugh with a winner.
I said either way, it's going to be a good show because I'm going to be hyped up.
You might as well have done like 1,000 bumps of cocaine. Like the amount of energy you are bringing to this show right now is.
It's honestly better than winning a bet, like winning money, digging yourself out. Like you win the bet and you get no financial return physically, except that you no longer owe another man money.
That's why Rocky 1 is the best Rocky. He doesn't win, but he goes the distance. You went the distance with your bookie today.
Yeah. This whole week we're going back and forth. Losing $500 here, losing $500 there. But guess what? A little $50 bet.
Saved it all.
Wipes it clean.
Oh, man. What a day. What a day. Well, you know what? Today we're talking about another epic battle.
Love this.
Like the one that goes on between you and your bookie every single week. It
hasn't been much of a battle, honestly. Almost a Dan genocide.
Yeah. A slaughter.
Yeah.
A wounded knee, if you will. It is funny when people that it is technically called the Battle of Wounded Knee. We're not talking about Wounded Knee today, but it is funny that it's called the Battle of Wounded Knee, and it's like I don't think there were battle lines.
I actually don't know what happened to Wounded Knee. I just know it was a slaughter.
A slaughter.
One way.
Then you do know what happened to Wounded Knee.
Wasn't that Colonel Mustard?
Yeah, Colonel Mustard with the cavalry division in the Dakotas.
So what happened to Wounded Knee?
A fucking massacre
By
the U.S. cavalry against the fucking Sioux, Dakota. I don't remember.
Who cares?
It was James Forsyth,
Oh.
which I had to look up. I didn't know that. Look, James Forsyth. You know James Forsyth?
With the candlestick.
Yeah, with the cavalry. But anyway, it was kind of I think in part like a revenge thing. Like they were like, for Custer. Custer's a fucking douchebag. But he was a great Civil War leader. Fought for the Union. So really, can you call Custer a bad guy? Help free the slaves. Sure, he did some stuff after, but I think he's like you. He battled God to a draw.
Mm-hmm. some highs and lows. Some back and forth. And yeah, you're essentially neutral.
Yeah. He played a big part, not a big part, but an integral part in Gettysburg, which we're also not talking about today.
What are we talking about today?
One of the most important battles in American history.
I like that you're getting zinned up for this, too.
A battle that, if it had gone the other way, may have changed American and thus world history forever. A battle so severe that its consequences are never discussed today. It's a forgotten battle. But this battle might have been...
Aren't they all?
One of the essentially, yeah, but this one was forgotten like from the jump. If this battle went the other way...
What percentage of battles do you think are remembered that we have by name?
Less than 1%?
It's got to be less than 1%. Think of all the Chinese battles we never talk about, where millions of people die.
I mean, look, they're written down, but...
We don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody says them by name.
Yeah, but no Chinese guy is like, oh, yeah, the Battle of Hastings really changed the course of English history forever. They don't know what the Battle of Hastings is.
Yeah, but Agincourt,
They don't know what Agincourt is.
it stands the test of time. It screams into the...
I mean, maybe if they watched the Chalamet movie, but that's Netflix China.
I bet they do. I bet they have Agincourt. Wouldn't offend China.
They wouldn't care either way.
No.
Yeah.
They're like, look, it's Chalamet and Pattinson.
I don't know this for sure, but it wouldn't surprise me if Chinese propaganda history in the CCP was like laughed at our pathetic little wars. You know what I mean? Like, oh, the American Civil War was so bloody. 600,000 people died in it. Look how pathetic and weak they are.
Dude, whatever. They're trying to stunt an all-woman unit that marches in sync. Like, what are you, North Korea? You're better than that, China.
Also, who cares about marching in sync? What a funny little tidbit of World War II trivia is that the Germans were obviously good in sync marchers as well. Very sharp-looking army, the Nazi army. And when they left Paris, they marched out of Paris, or whatever. Either way, the Parisians were used to 4+ years of just like this sharp-ass army, right? This well-put-together army. And, they're waiting for the Americans to come in, and they're like, man, these guys must be just, like, crack motherfuckers the way they beat the Germans. Like, these must just be, like, absolute, like, stunningly disciplined soldiers.
It was a bunch of dudes from, like, Appalachia.
Dude, the American army just, like, walks in like fucking hobos, like, just beat up looking. I mean, but, like, that's just how we work, is we're just a little more improvisational, a little less concerned with appearances, more concerned with results. You know what I mean? But they saw the American soldiers come in, and they're like, huh, these are the guys? These guys did it?
Yeah, you want a grimy, tough motherfucker.
Yeah.
I don't care if he's clean shaven.
Who cares? Oh, you're good at marching? Sweet.
You're going to march in sync, and you're going to get shot in sync.
Yeah. So anyway, this battle, though, humongous, consequences that reverberated throughout history, could have changed the entire course of Western civilization and global civilization. But no one talks about it. And we're here today to, I think, both honor the people that fought in that battle, the brave, brave people, and I think we should honor even their descendants in a way.
So the left turn here is these are monsters?
No. We owe a debt to these people. And in a way to their descendants as well, I think.
Who are we talking about today, Rob?
I speak, of course, of the Battle of St. Louis.
That's why you're wearing your emo sweatshirt. It all makes sense now. It's all coming together.
Yep.
I'll let you have this.
Yeah.
The Battle of St. Louis. We already talked about the Olympics in St. Louis.
We talked about a lot of St.
In
Louis
1904.
The Lemp Mansion in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm. Many say not only is this a Catholic podcast, but it's also a St. Louis
especially
podcast.
now that Jake's gone. It's really 50-50. I mean, it's actually fitting, too, because you're all birdsed out.
I never really talk about Philly much.
What's there to talk about?
Or Delco.
What's there to talk about?
But I'm birdsed out. We just got the dub.
Nothing really happened in Philadelphia.
Nothing of importance in this country.
Nah.
No. When I was home for the break, I went and did my 4th grade field trip all over again. I saw the Liberty Bell.
Did you
I
really?
saw Independence Hall. Yeah, dude.
Oh, you were taking tourists around, weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's right.
I was taking my friend Shay and her kid to see...
Where freedom was invented.
Yeah, not the French. Not
Nope.
Greece. Not none of that.
It was in Philadelphia. So, this was a battle in a big war. This was a Revolutionary War battle.
Which revolution?
The American Revolution.
We were in St. Louis by then?
St. Louis predates the United States.
I didn't really know it was established like that.
Yeah. St. Louis was founded about 20 years before the American Revolution.
Now, was Independence kind of on equal scale as St. Louis?
What do you mean?
Independence, Missouri?
No, not at this point. No. There wasn't anything like that.
Just a couple trading posts?
St. Louis was just a trading post at this point. So let me take you back to pre-revolution St. Louis. It's a small town. It's really just a trading post on the Mississippi River, just set up because fur trading is the big, industry in the north, and a lot of easy way to get it out to the ocean. is to just get it over to the Mississippi River, take it all the way down to New Orleans, pop it out back to Europe.
Also, kind of going back to your earlier comment about how the French were unimpressed with Americans, kind of rich coming from them. If you ever saw like 1700, 1800 Frenchmen that were just all about Canada and the U.S., those dirty, dirty fur trappers.
Oh my God, Canadian fur trappers! They sent it.
The grossest people possible.
They weren't sending their best.
I think those might have been just like French prisoners they released.
New Orleans was, by the way, French prisoners. New Orleans was literally the Australia of America
for the French.
Yeah. If you do any like ghost tour tour in New Orleans, like the French Quarter, they'll tell you a quick history of New Orleans, especially for the ghost tour. They'll tell you a quick history of New Orleans, and they're like, yeah, it's Australia.
They portray it very accurately in all the historical movies, too, like The Revenant, The New Predator.
Yeah.
With the natives. I think it's called Prey. But they show the French trappers, and they're like the grossest people imaginable.
Yeah, filthy motherfuckers. So St. Louis, just a rough and rowdy trading post on the Mississippi River. Real shithole back then. Think just like Deadwood, but 100 years earlier.
Again, I've only seen the movie.
Okay, but think season 1 Deadwood, but 100 years earlier. Just lawless, full of hookers and booze and gambling.
Westworld?
Yeah, but 100 years earlier.
Okay.
And not even as nice as that one bar in Westworld where they all get the hookers like in the first episode.
A lot of rough and tumble going on.
Where that chick's like, ain't but a rhine on you, or whatever she says.
Were they getting into fisticuffs where they were trying to spoon each other's eyes out?
Probably. I mean, it was a fucking gnarly town. Like you probably lived in St. Louis at this point specifically because you didn't want to be fully part of civilization, but you still wanted to be like around other people, make a little money on the side.
Yeah.
Type of thing. And at this time, actually.
Why don't we have like a lawless place in this country for like former criminals to go? We should kind of like gate off an entire state for that. Kind of ship off the homeless, kind of send.
I know. Now everywhere gets resettled by rich people. Like rich people go to Wyoming or Austin.
Right.
Or, you know,
I mean, I guess
Idaho
it's kind of like the top of Idaho is like where we send these people.
Yeah. You can just cut off the top of Idaho and send all
the top of Idaho should just strictly be for people with a record.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's you. And you know how you used to have to show a vaccine passport to get into restaurants and stuff in certain states.
Yeah.
In order to get to the top of Idaho, you have to show your criminal record.
Yes. And it's got to be serious. It can be a misdemeanor, but it's got to be a gnarly misdemeanor.
No, it should be something that prevents you from going to the country of Canada.
Okay. Well, that could be any.
A DUI. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. DUI. Perfect. One of my first jobs out of college was marketing for a law firm, and it was a bankruptcy firm, but they also had a traffic division or whatever, and I would do SEO marketing for both of them. I'd have to like write blogs and shit. And our like tagline, or one of our taglines for DUIs was like, DUI is the worst crime that good people commit.
Good man can get drunk one night.
Yeah.
You know, maybe his wife's giving him the business back home. He's out with the boys, blowing some steam off. Had one too many, gets the keys. He's like, I've done this a dozen times before.
Fine. I'm fine.
And
boom.
The cars drive themselves at this point. He's got a newer car.
I know. Give me a Waymo.
The self-driving cars seems like a short distance thing.
Yeah, it's a city thing for sure.
I'm not
I've driven
taking
by
out the
a few
highway.
Waymos now too. It's weird.
Also, what happens if they hit me?
I don't know.
Who do I report that to?
They kill you and keep going.
Yeah.
They eliminate you.
A gun comes out of the back of the trunk.
Yeah.
And just
like,
pops you.
It's the last episode of Breaking Bad. Just a fucking
Lights you
Gatling
up.
gun goes out. Brrr. Yeah. So at the time, people think of St. Louis as a French city. It was founded by the French, but at the time, it was under Spanish control.
So I actually rode for the French, though, on Crime Corner the other day.
Why?
I was just saying they got a bad rap, man. The French and us, they're our long-lost, maybe a cousin.
Yeah, I think a cousin.
But like a cousin you're really cool with.
Okay.
Or you should be cool
Your
with.
older cousin that kind of corrupts you a little bit.
Maybe he got involved in a little too many drugs.
Or your cousin, like you see him and you're like, oh, I could have been him.
Got addicted to some like painkillers. Your parents are always like, you gotta avoid him at all costs.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, he's fine, dude.
But like whenever you hang out, it's a good time.
Yeah, you're like, dude, Steve's cool.
What's wrong with Steve?
What's wrong with cousin Stevie?
He might be drooling on himself on the couch.
He said that bitch lied. He said that bitch was a liar. That was his exact words, Mom. And she's like, you are 9 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Stevie is 30. This is a big family.
He's a cool dude. I mean, look how many women he gets. Sure, he has to pay for them.
And sure, a lot of them are liars, according to him. But
sorry, he's a truth teller, okay?
So, St. Louis at this time, even though it's a French-founded city, under Spanish control. This is because France founded St. Louis, but was getting absolutely worked by the British in the in the 7 Years' War, aka the French and Indian War.
Mm-hmm.
So, France is like, oh, we're gonna get fucked, and we fucking hate the British. If we still control the Louisiana Territory, which, when you think of the Louisiana Territory, think of basically the Louisiana Purchase, right? Starts at Louisiana, but then just gets huge, all the way out. So the French are like, we don't want England to have this. Fuck that. So they work on a secret deal to cede all their territory west of the Mississippi to Spain through the Treaty of Fontainebleau in 1762.
I think you nailed that pronunciation as
Fontainebleau.
So that's another cool thing about the French. It just sounds like they're always blowing someone.
Yeah, there's something in their mouth always.
Cigarette, penis,
cheese, soft cheese, hard cheese, doesn't matter. So they're like, we're gonna give it to the Spanish because fuck the British, and this will make the British even more powerful than they already are. So they still do lose regions. They lose like Canada and shit like that because the Spanish have no ability to even control Canada. But the Spanish do have some ability to get to New Orleans and the other parts of the Louisiana Territory. And
imagine Canada being part of Spain.
I mean, yeah, right.
That just doesn't sit right with me.
Well, good. I have good news.
It didn't happen.
It never happened.
I know.
Yeah. But they do. So Spain gets to the Louisiana Territory. This is why the Spanish flag is one of the flags at Six Flags St. Louis.
That's why.
Yeah.
Also, when we bought the Louisiana Purchase, did Spain have an issue with that, I'd imagine?
No, they gave it back to France a few years before the Louisiana Purchase.
I was like, did they sell land?
So I think what happened...
They didn't own?
I don't totally know exactly.
Did we get ill-gotten goods?
Who cares? But I think what happened was Napoleon essentially took over Spain in his wars, and then was like, hey, Louisiana's ours again, fuck you. And then 3 years later, I believe it was like 3 years later, was like, oh, God, I need money, and sold the Louisiana Territory to
mainly because shit was popping off in Haiti. And he's like, this is a headache.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I'm good.
So, in 1765, Spain begins to officially govern the region. A couple years later, it took a couple years to get everything good, but England can't get their hands on it. 14 years later, Spain enters the American Revolution on the side of the colonies, 1779. Spain's official entrance into the war essentially made anything Spain owned up for grabs on the New World continent, on the North American continent, right? So Florida, the Louisiana Territory, England's like, fuck, Spain's in the war. But if we can win, we can jack a lot of their shit, maybe all of their shit.
Opportunity.
Yes.
If we pull this off, like we should, right? Like we're the,
we're fucking Britain.
minus 1,000 favorite to win this.
Yeah.
We're getting some more land, boys.
Yeah. So New Orleans, Florida, St. Louis, all this shit is now on the playing board for the British. And at this point, the British controlled everything, including the colonies. Like in North America, like in the continental United States, what you now think is the continental United States, the British owned everything up to the Mississippi River.
Not Florida.
Not Florida, but everything else.
Yeah.
Spanish Florida actually goes all the way to New Orleans with that, but like north of that and to the Mississippi River, they own that shit, right? So they want to take more stuff. They want to control the Mississippi River Valley. I don't necessarily think they're concerned with what would become Montana one day, although they obviously want that too. But they want to control the Mississippi River Valley, especially because that's a fucking super highway in the middle of the continent, the Mississippi River.
They really wanted that Wyoming and Montana land because they're like the aristocrats, the rich. They need a place to get away. They need a vacation home.
They need to ski. They need to invent skiing and then go ski.
They didn't have skiing back then?
They probably did, yeah. I don't know if the British did it, but I'm sure the I know the Nordics had skis. But
The English have hills. They have like giant
yeah,
cliffs.
but that's like going skiing in Missouri.
Yeah, it's kind of like going sledding with a trash can lid.
Yeah, and you're like,
That's what I did. BJ's Hill.
We had there was a good hill by my house and like a mediocre park hill by my house. I went to both, but the good hill at the bottom of the good hill was a frozen pond.
Oh, so you could fall into the pond?
Oh yeah, but it was frozen. But if you got too much speed, you're going into that fucking pond.
So many kids and dads got smoked though.
That was always a fun thing. Try to hit people on the
Be
way
hundreds
down.
of kids on one hill.
Yeah, hitting people on the way down is the best.
Yeah, because then you got to walk all the way up and.
You're literally
You're a target.
I'm aiming for people on the way down there.
Yeah.
So there's another reason the British wanted to take out St. Louis in particular as well. As I said, the Spanish were sort of unofficially against the British in the war for a long time. Then they officially entered the war, and St. Louis was supplying weapons to American fighters in the West, particularly George Rogers Clark. Would come up from New Orleans, up the river, go over to Clark. Clark was essentially, so the war was kind of contained to the colonies for the most part, but then colonists were going out into the sort of wilderness, the West, that would become the sort of Midwest and SEC country type of, and they were taking that land too and just kind of claiming it for America, being like, this is ours now too, fuck you. I don't care if it's not part of Virginia or Carolina or whatever, we're taking this too. So Clark had gotten all the way to Cahokia in Illinois. He spent years in the West fucking up the Indians. The British, by the way, did not have the manpower to deal with this, so they were just paying Indians to murder anyone that was coming in or any settlers who were siding with the Americans.
I saw a native play with a ruby the size of a tangerine.
Did it for sport. I didn't care.
Yeah, I'm sure natives appreciated guns so they could even the playing field.
Yeah, and the British were giving them not just guns, but like other, like, I don't know, more economical things, just stuff that improved
weapons.
their
I imagine the
life,
British didn't have a short supply of weapons.
No, they had plenty of weapons, and they were bringing those up through the Great Lakes, basically, and the Canada and stuff like that. Whatever. I was going to say the Erie Canal, but that didn't exist yet. Anyway. George Rogers Clark was just fucking shit up in the West, helping settlers gain independence. A very underrated figure in the American Revolution, actually. Kind of helped the whole untamed West, Ohio Valley, Kentucky, all this stuff, kind of become part of America. Because even though we think of the 13 colonies, when America started, it basically extended all the way to the Mississippi River.
Yeah, we don't think about that because it wasn't really our territory.
No one lived there. We didn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Patrick Sinclair, who was the governor, the British governor in Michigan, basically. It wasn't called Michigan then, but British governor of Michigan. In 1780, once the Spanish were in and everything was up for grabs, he told loyalist fur traders to start going through the territories and recruit tribes who were interested in taking St. Louis. He was like, we're going to take this shit. We're going to get it. We're going to take all of it because even if we lose this war, they're not going to be able to take that back. They don't have the manpower to take that back. We don't even have the manpower to get it. That's why I have to go get Indians to get it.
They're like, they put this sweet sauce on their meats that we just can't get enough of. I mean, the meat's not cooked very well. It's not prepped very well. It overcompensates for how bad the meat is, but that sweet, sweet sauce.
That fucking delicious. Dude, KC barbecue sauce is the best barbecue sauce. I don't want to hear it. And barbecue sauce is a necessary part of barbecue. I don't want to hear that either.
I would say Kansas City barbecue's top 4.
Oh, my God. Think about how much salty fucking smoked meat you eat in this goddamn state.
Yeah, still one.
That gives you nothing to cut through it. Gives you nothing to balance it.
Still one, dude.
Nothing to balance it out. I'm not saying I want sauce in every bite. I'm saying I need it as a palate cleanser.
I understand. It's a different thing, man. Some are children. Some are real men.
Oh, my God. You don't even like barbecue anymore.
I've had so much.
Yeah. Same.
And I have no dog in the race.
When someone comes into the studio and they're like, I brought barbecue, we're like, yay.
But as a man who grew up in the Northeast, barbecue is not our thing, clearly.
No.
So I gorged myself when I entered this state 10 years ago.
You're a meat boy.
Big meat boy.
Big
Gotta
protein
get
guy.
that protein. Gotta hit 300 grams a day.
They get a bunch of Indians, the British do, and there's some British troops there too. And they're like, all right, good, we got the people. And they also get French fur trappers who are just like, fuck it, I'll make a dime, whatever. I'm a dirty hobo. I have no allegiance to anything but myself. So they're ready to go. They get between 750 and 1,000 Indians plus their European soldiers and fur traders and stuff like that. And they're ready to go take out St. Louis. Meanwhile, in St. Louis is the lieutenant governor of the Louisiana Territory. St. Louis is, I guess, what you would probably call the second most important outpost in the territory after New Orleans. The lieutenant governor, Fernando de Leyva, is there, and he's got a tiny garrison. He's a Spanish infantry officer.
I like the term garrison.
It's a good term.
It is.
You got a teeny tiny.
It's better than fort.
Well, it's not. Garrison is the men.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
garrison.
The garrison just means men?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's used in so many, like...
Could mean fort too, actually. I don't know.
I think
for
it is
sure.
fort.
But garrison means men, typically.
If you want to look it up.
Yeah.
Every game I've ever played, it's like we're taking
Yep.
this garrison.
Garrison. The troops stationed in a fortress or town to defend it.
The actual troops?
Yeah. So the troops are the people in the fort are the garrison.
Okay. I'm mistaken then.
So he's a Spanish infantry officer born in a Spanish fort in North Africa. Most people in St. Louis didn't like him. Most people in St. Louis were pissed that they were under Spanish control because they were basically French. And they were like, this is annoying. Fuck these guys. They're not cool like the French. They didn't like him, and he thought the town was a shithole. He didn't really like it either.
Dude,
like
the French were wild back then, too.
Yeah.
You know, Lafayette came here because he essentially got kicked out of French high society
For not fucking.
for not cheating on his wife. They're like, we can't trust a man who's faithful and loyal to his wife.
They're like, you don't even want one 13-year-old mistress, no?
And thank God, because
One
Lafayette
little
was a
teen
gangster.
By the way, Lafayette came over here when he was like 19.
That's an old man back then.
Yeah, pretty much. So people in FCL did not like de Leyva. He was very strict and by the book. He thought the town was gross, and the town was like, yeah, we do gross shit, so what? Fuck you, man.
It's not really a town at that point.
It's a couple hundred people.
That ain't a town.
Whatever. So either way, de Leyva was like very, very, very...
It's like a rest stop.
It is. It is a rest stop on the Mississippi. That's what it is. The only problem is there's not a lot of other ones. And it's the best port on the Mississippi.
You hit an interstate, you get one of those rest stops midday, you get a couple hundred people there. Easy.
Yeah, it's probably true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a rest stop on the Mississippi. So de Leyva, despite not liking the town, he's very, very by the book, very duty-bound guy. So he's like, I'm going to do my job no matter what. Doesn't fucking matter. So de Leyva is told by his superiors before they're like, you need to start supplying Clark in Cahokia, give him weapons and shit like that. And he does. He's like, all right, whatever. I follow orders by the fucking letter. I'm going to do it. And he gives the merchants of St. Louis a big list of shit to send to Clark, like weapons, food, all this stuff. And everyone in St. Louis is pissed off because they're going to be paid in like colonial money, basically.
Right.
Which is they're in a different country, pretty much. They're like, fuck this.
Get this monopoly money out
Yeah,
of
they're
my
like,
face.
this is dog shit money. We
Yeah.
don't want this fucking shit.
It's like trying to pay somebody in Confederate money.
It is literally like trying to pay. It's a rebellion's money. And they're like, dude, fuck this money.
Have Confederate dollars gone up in value at any point just for the historical significance? I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
With like a Confederate dollar.
Woo! $50 of Confederate money.
What's it going for?
$300 on eBay.
I mean, it's whatever somebody's willing to pay for it.
But let's see an inflation calculator. Let's see what U.S. money appreciated in that time. Actually, I can only go back to 1913. What?
I'm surprised no one's made like a Confederate coin.
Oh, wow. Actually, it's still worth quite a bit less than $50 in 1913.
Yeah.
Quite a bit less.
Confederate coin, though, how is that not a cryptocurrency at this point?
Confed coin.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
That seems like a layup. Dude, I would love to start our own crypto where we bamboozle the audience to buy it and then pump and dump.
Oh, I was talking about a scheme with somebody about how we just start a book that has like outrageous political prop bets that will never come true, but just get people to bet on it just because they're like, oh, look at this. I put $50 on this and it pays out at 10,000 to 1 if I win. And it's like Michelle Obama has a 12-inch penis or something. Just shit that is
What if that hits, though? We're fucked.
We are fucked. It's not going to, but if it does, we would be
Egg on our face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why you put the inches on there, too.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So first she has to have a penis, and then it has to be 12 inches.
But like it's 13. I'm sorry, guys.
It's only
bigger.
9. Either way, though, you just get a bunch of, like, red pill dudes just being like, oh, look at this bet I made. It's hilarious. Meanwhile, we walk away with, like, $5,000.
Yeah, but I don't even feel bad about that. What about,
I know.
We start a coin with a hot influencer or just a chick that's viral.
This is how you know, not that I didn't know from the moment I saw the video, that Hawk Tua has terrible parents. Because anyone who came from an even, like, normal household, it was like, Mom, Dad, I got to make some crypto coin off my viral video. Like, if I came, I was like, Mom, Dad, I'm like 38. And even still, I was like, Mom, Dad, check this out. They'd be like, I don't think you should do that. That sounds really suspicious. Let me, read the papers.
You're going to make a lot of money. You're going to hurt a lot of others.
You're
going to get
"Hey,
taken to
girl,
court.
You got that internet gold. My baby's got internet gold.
I mean, what were NFTs, really? They were the same thing.
Yeah, I know. I guess what's the level of where it's no longer moral to separate a fool from his money? Is it the amount? Is it how outrageous the scheme is? Because sports gambling...
It's probably turning the entire country into a casino.
Yeah, I mean, sports gambling, though, it's like, dude, if you really think you're smarter than these people because you watch so much football...
I got news for you. Bucko, you're not.
Yeah.
They have so much information about everything.
So I don't feel bad for those people because that's hubris that's costing them their money.
I know. But guess what, dude? I won today.
But here's the thing.
I'll lose tomorrow,
Sports
but I
gambling,
won today.
they at some level they understand that they don't really know what they're talking about, one would imagine. But like cryptocurrency or NFTs, they don't even understand what that is. They understand what sports is. They understand how teams can win and lose and upsets happen and whatever. But like this is like it's like selling them a planet.
I'm getting back in the tulip market.
If you want to.
I think it's a buy low opportunity.
So the St. Louisans are like, fuck this monopoly money. We're not taking this shit. So De Leyva, being a good Spanish citizen, being a good servant to the crown, is like, oh my God, these fucking people. And he's like, okay, fine. I will pay for it myself and take their money. And he goes into debt to supply personal debt to supply Clark with the weapons and stuff just so he can follow the orders. At this point, also, St. Louis has no defenses, and like I said, not that big of a garrison. So De Leyva is like, hey, we're at war with England. We're supplying their enemy, who's literally right across the river. They're going to come and attack us.
Yeah.
Can I have more troops? And the Spanish, he sends letters twice asking for troops from New Orleans, never even gets a response. And then he's like, fuck, okay. I got to just deal with what I got here, but we need to build defenses. And everyone in St. Louis is like, do we have to? Like, I don't want to.
Like, I can't really seem to get my way around that.
I kind of came here to, like, party and not worry about shit.
I'm here to be a criminal.
You literally. Like, I'm kind of just here to, like, not be involved in society. And, like, you're talking about all this, like, society shit just coming to knock on my, like, a war or something. They don't give a...
Why do I want to defend this? I'll just move to another town.
Yeah, I'll just move to some other shithole outpost where I can bang disgusting hookers, make just enough...
This is a circus. We just pack up shop and move.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. Okay. I'll pay for that, too.
That's like asking the man that is in charge of the Gravitron to defend the fair. No, the Carney's not going to do that. He's going to get another job.
Right. So he's like, oh, God damn it. Fucking fine. I'll pay to build the defenses too. So he does. So he puts down. He eventually gets the St. Louisans to agree to help pay for the defenses if he fronts 40% of it himself.
That's pretty low still.
It's like, but there's like hundreds of people, and he's like, he's a nobleman for sure, but he's like, fine, I'll fucking pay for 40%. He goes into like massive debt just to pay to defend St. Louis and follow orders.
It's like current day owners of sports teams trying to build a stadium.
Yeah.
But guys, come on. I'll pay 40%. You guys got to cover the rest, though.
So finally, a fur trader comes down the river in 1780 and says the British are coming. They have their Indian troops and
they have their own Paul Revere.
They do. Her name is Magdalene de Honoré.
It doesn't really hit the same.
Nah. But this chick, way more impressive than Paul Revere. She hears from some Indians who are just like gossiping. They're like, oh yeah, there's a big force. They're going to come fuck St. Louis up. So she hears this.
Translated it?
I think the Indians spoke French, I'd imagine, at this point.
Okay.
They've been in contact for 200 years. So she hears this, gets in a fucking canoe by herself, and paddles 60 miles down the Mississippi River.
Whoa. Well, probably downstream, right?
Yeah. But she's mostly steering with the paddling.
Mm-hmm.
But still, the Mississippi River is fucking terrifying. It is humongous and fast.
And she's doing all the work, really. Not the horse. Paul Revere's horse never gets the credit he deserves.
He does.
Or she deserves.
So she gets
also,
there.
Revere, wasn't he like the second guy to show up in town?
Yeah, the Paul Revere story is kind of bullshit. But I don't care.
He gets a lot of
not something that concerns me.
Stolen valor, I believe.
It's just a good story. And also, it's a good name. Paul,
We couldn't give this chick credit?
There should be a fucking statue of her in St. Louis.
I guess because she's a woman, and they didn't really care for that back then.
The only way you're getting a statue as a woman is if you, I guess, hatchet a bunch of Indian children to death. Like, what's her name?
Hannah Dustin.
Yeah. I don't even remember it.
You did her episode.
I did it.
It's okay. I have autism.
Yeah. So DeLeba's like, all right, fuck. So he starts developing a plan for the village's defense. At this point, all he has is a dog shit militia force of 168, like just locals from around the countryside, and he's got 29 Spanish troops. DeLeba, one of the defenses he built was a stone tower. He wanted to build 4 stone towers. He was only able to get 1 done.
Right.
This tower was 30 feet wide and 3 stories tall, which was by far the biggest building for 100 miles probably.
How many days was this tower built in?
40.
40 days.
Yeah. 39, I think, actually. But
it's kind of impressive. You know, you're on the clock.
Very much on the clock. So the tower, dubbed Fort San Carlos, it basically gave them a view over everything. And it was built on a hill, too. So it gave them a complete view.
I mean, think about all the permits they had to get. All the bureaucratic tape they had to cut.
Is just terrible, yeah.
Man.
This tower was actually about a block away from Busch Stadium.
You know, it's actually where Mark McGwire 62nd home run landed.
Which is ironic to say because his 62nd home run just squeaked over the fence. It was like the weakest home run he hit all year.
Yeah, and didn't the guy that actually caught the ball was trying to just get a photo and an autograph from Mark McGwire?
I actually think that was his 70th because his 62nd, I think, it was so low that it didn't even hit the crowd. It went into the dead space between the wall.
Okay, so his, last home run of the season.
His record-setting home run, right? The record was set at 70.
Yes. I believe the guy was just asking for a photo and a bat.
And Mark McGwire
was like, fuck off.
Yeah, literally. Was like, dude, fuck you. Just the roids going crazy.
just spazzing out from the roids.
And so the guy sold it for $2 million, something like that.
Much better profit.
Yeah. Because the guy was being a boner St. Louisan, and he was just like, oh, gee whiz, Mr. McGwire, I just love baseball. All
classiest fans in all of sports.
Yeah, he's like, all I want is a picture. And Mark McGwire's like, fuck you. You ever take Andro?
I've never taken any steroid.
Okay.
I've only taken for Sups Dog. We did some pro hormones.
I don't even know what that is.
They're pills.
Okay.
It really did nothing. I'll put a photo up of what I looked like when I was on them. Not as big as I am now, but nobody can tell now because it doesn't show.
You're wearing black. Yeah. Slimming yourself.
Family's been in town. I haven't got a good lift in probably a couple weeks.
It didn't say anything, but it shows.
But no, I'll get back to it, boys.
All right, well, let's get to it. Come on.
By my birthday, I know I'll be hot again, and I'll pop top.
Yeah, oh yeah, we need pop top.
The only way the show's gonna grow with my own fitness journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the only way because nobody's tuning in for the content.
No, not the history.
I need to just be fucking shredded.
So
you should too. We should get you on a nice little routine. Have you hit your macros?
Okay.
We'll keep track of that. We'll
All
get
right.
you hot.
Let's go.
Imagine if you just had a jawline.
I know. Never have.
But what if we get you one?
Let's go. I got a soft face. I got a cherubic face.
I want you to get to the point where your wife is afraid you're going to leave her.
Dude, 2 weeks alone with the kids or a week alone with the kids, that's a lot.
She needs to have
Fear
and know that there's a threat.
Yeah, I agree. I don't disagree with that.
So keep her on her toes.
Yeah.
Or else she gets, complacent, comfortable.
Been saying
And in
that
the words of Future, bitch, don't get too comfortable.
So they got the one tower. There was no more time to build any other towers, and the St. Louisans didn't even want to. So he orders trenches. DeLeba orders trenches to be dug. They dig about 1.5 miles worth of trench works to help defend the city as well, and they stack a bunch of cannons on top of the tower. So at this point, they have 197 men. 168 are useless militia, basically. And every man, the militia was aged 15 to 50, so not great on that front either. If you're between 15 and 50, you are auto-conscripted.
Who would you rather be next to? A 15-year-old or a 50-year-old?
50. Unquestionably.
15-year-old's a little bit more fit, though. Maybe he's got a better...
Is he? A malnourished 15-year-old?
He might not be malnourished.
Yeah.
The 50-year-old, he falls, he breaks a hip, he's dead.
I think that 15-year-old's just going to be...
That's a hard 50, too. In St. Louis?
It is a hard 50.
A trade-in post 50? Yeah, give me the 15-year-old all day.
Fair enough.
To be like my fucking brother in arms.
So DeLeba's still like, God, we're so fucked. So he goes to this French guy who lives a little ways away in charge of a bunch of like hunters and stuff like that. And his name's Francois Valet. Anyway, he gets Valet and his 2 sons and 60 well-trained and well-equipped French militiamen to come help. And this was especially useful because unlike most of the people in St. Louis, these French guys actually had lead to use to make bullets out of instead of the pebbles and stones that many of the St. Louisans were planning to shoot out of their muskets.
It's like getting hit by those rubber bullets or those
or like
pepper bullets.
A paintball that doesn't break.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the pepper rounds are.
Yeah.
They're paintballs, just filled with pepper spray.
You gotta freeze them though.
Yeah, that'll fuck you up. So on May 25th, the British send out a scouting party to determine the situation in St. Louis. These parties weren't able to get close to the village because a bunch of people were out there like picking flowers in the fields and shit like that, and they didn't want to give away their position. So they were also like, we were told St. Louis didn't have defenses.
What is this?
There appears to be a tower.
But like, don't worry about that. That's not for defense.
The British were literally like, it'll be harder to defend St. Louis than it is to take St. Louis. So like, if we counterattack, that's the real problem. That's what they thought would be the real problem. So the next day,
Also, what's the benefit of taking it?
to control that part of the Mississippi.
I guess.
No, it's a huge deal. It's a humongous deal. It was also a huge deal in the Civil War that Missouri didn't go over to the Confederacy because then the entire Mississippi River would have been lost. And that's a huge fucking deal.
So they could have their little submarines in the Mississippi.
No, so they could the trade and everything. It is a big deal that Missouri stayed in the Union. Arguably the most important border state, maybe other than Maryland.
I don't think it was that big of a deal, honestly. St. Louis, Missouri, you can have them. Wouldn't have swung the tides.
All right, well, we're going to get into that, too. We can have St.
You
Louis.
can justify it any way you want. You can try to spew all this propaganda for your bullshit town and your dog shit state. But I'm having none of it.
So at 1 p.m. on May, I don't even remember, May something, the British attack. DeLeba wrote and it's really the Indians attack. The DeLeba wrote they rushed out of the forest or out of the woods like madmen. A warning shot was fired from the tower, and everyone kind of got to their positions or whatever. All the Indians attacked: the Sioux, the Winnebagos, the Sauk, the Mescawi, and
Dude, they had Winnebagos?
They had Winnebagos.
Damn, how'd they lose?
Well, we'll get into that.
There was somebody just rolling up
the
in
battle.
a Winnebago?
The battle did not go well. DeLeba essentially directed the defense from the tower, even though he was violently ill at the time. He had to actually be carried up to the tower. And unfortunately, just like the day before when the scouting party was there, a bunch of civilians were out in the fields when the attack started. And the civilians by far got the worst of it.
Oh, they weren't just chilling, tailgating, watching the battle?
No. They were just out doing their thing, and a fucking 1,000 people ran out of the woods to kill them. One slave named Lewis saw an Indian running towards him. He was like, I'm going to die unless I dive. Or what? He's like, I'm going to die. So he dives to the ground, trips the Indian, and then beats him to death, and then runs back to the trenches being like, I got his musket. Check it out.
Nice. Score for the slave.
Yeah. Initially,
he survived the battle. Was not given his freedom and actually was, beaten on the job.
He was punished for owning something.
Yeah. Days later.
Yeah. So initially, the battle was not going well. The city seemed like it was going to be overwhelmed. But Fort San Carlos, that tower, has some cannons on it.
Okay.
And those cannons started ripping.
They had the high ground, too.
Yeah. The Indians called Fort San Carlos the House of Thunder.
The boomstick.
On the first volley, 2 of the Indian tribes, the Sauk and the Meswaki, fell back and were like, fuck this, we are out. We were told that there were not defenses. They just fucking left.
As a native, that has to be the most terrifying thing to come across.
I mean, they're used to it at this point. They've been dealing with it for 200 years.
Still.
But they're still just like, I'm sorry, I was told there would be no tower with cannons.
That appears to be a tower and also cannons.
Yeah, I was told this was going to be fun.
I thought I was getting scalps.
Yeah. So the Wapasha and the Sioux kept attacking for several hours, and they had an interesting tactic. They knew they couldn't take the trenches, and they knew the tower was a problem. So they were like, let's try to draw the St. Louisans out. So they took a bunch of people they captured from the fields and just started killing them horrifically out of range.
Cool.
Just torturing them, chopping them to pieces.
Hey, we got your kid here. Got your wife.
Yeah.
Got your mistress.
And we're cutting their hands off, cutting their heads off.
Hey, we got your father-in-law. Keep him.
This actually pissed off the people in the trenches, and they're like, we got to go. We got to go fight. We got to go get these people. And DeLeba was like, no, it's a fucking trap.
Yeah, it's always a trap.
Absolutely a trap.
They're trying to get you out.
I'm sorry you have to listen to these people be tortured, but that's war, baby.
They're trying to get you out of the Thunder Castle.
DeLeba was like, we're staying fucking put. And the cannons kept going. The volleys kept coming from the trenches. Eventually, the force was like, dude, we're not taking this fucking city. Fuck this. And they left. They destroyed a bunch of crops, killed livestock, more civilians and buildings as they went.
They pissed in the wells. And
basically, they just tried to salt the earth as they left. On the other side of the river, they attacked Cahokia, where George Rogers Clark was, but the Indians rolled up. They saw that George Rogers Clark was there. They knew his reputation as being just as fucking mean as they were. Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh, George Rogers Clark is there. Nope. And they just left.
That's called respect.
They were like, nah, nope. Between 50 and 100.
It's better to be feared than loved. That was probably on his gravestone.
He was only feared. He does have a big monument in Indiana. George Rogers Clark, though.
How hard is it to get a monument in Indiana? It's a couple basketball players and this guy.
Pretty much, yeah. George Rogers Clark, though, was overshadowed in history by his own family member.
What was his last name? Sorry.
Clark.
Lewis and Clark.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was his younger brother.
Younger brother's kind of a pussy.
Why do you say that?
Never fought.
He might have actually.
He might have served, but
I believe he was an army officer. He was, in fact, yeah.
whatever. He's making friends with the natives. Just going on quests and voyages.
I wonder what Clark fought, if he fought.
He's actually...
yeah, he fought a little. He fought some indigenous wars. I don't think he fought in the American Revolution, though.
Probably fought on the indigenous side.
No, he definitely did. But yeah, he didn't fight in the Revolution. He was born in 1770.
Do you think him and Lewis were just giving it to Sacagawea?
I think one of them was. One of them was in a relationship with her.
They weren't double teaming her?
Well,
Just spit roasting her
what
in that
happens?
canoe?
What happens on the Missouri River stays.
It seemed like a throuple.
America's first. Actually, no. Ben
Probably
Franklin
not.
was in probably 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
So, about 100 people died. Between 50 and 100 were either killed, wounded, or captured. Almost all the casualties were civilians. A few weeks later, DeLeba died of the sickness that had befallen him, although he was posthumously promoted to lieutenant colonel by the Spanish king. Here's where the important part comes in. The British never again tried to take St. Louis or the Mississippi Valley.
They never tried to begin with. It was the natives.
They did try. It was gonna be British.
They sent in just
they were gonna have the natives do
expendable
their dirty work.
forces. They're like, we're not actually putting real British men.
Had the English taken the upper Mississippi Valley, that land would have never, ever been American. It would have stopped American westward expansion dead at the Mississippi River. The rest of the West would have remained Mexico and would have probably been Canada at this point.
No.
The battle of
not stop Manifest Destiny.
No, you can.
Can't.
The English did it multiple times. This battle completely changed the course of the continent because if the British take St. Louis, a counterattack is not coming. They are not giving it back. The Americans don't have the manpower to take
Run
it back.
from it, delay it. It's all the same.
It would have been another war with the British in the 1840s or 50s, which we would have gotten wiped in.
No way, dude. That's when we were bucking. We were a dog to Mexico, and we fucking pushed their shit.
We were a dog to Mexico.
Also, Mexican-American War, we did not take enough land.
Yeah.
We should have went further.
We wanted to, but the guy negotiating, I'm going to do an episode of
He was
that,
too
actually.
nice.
He was too nice. All of this over a battle between about 1,000 people.
We should have had all the way down to Guatemala.
One day.
Do you remember all your Central American countries?
No.
We had a saying to remember them.
What is it?
Good boys eat hoagies, not cold pizza.
Okay. Guatemala, good
Mhm.
boys. Good Guatemala, boys, Belize,
Mhm.
eat Ecuador, hoagies, Honduras. What is it? Where does it go?
Nicaragua.
No,
Not-
I mean the
Not cold pizza.
Nicaragua,
Costa Rica.
Costa
Panama.
Rica. Yeah, okay. There you go. That's the most Philadelphia thing I've ever heard in my life. But yeah, that is the story of the Battle of St. Louis that forever changed the course of the United States of America in the American Revolution. What'd you learn today?
I learned
Just say you're welcome.
that St. Louis has and always will be full of people that think they're more important than they actually are.
Accurate.
Also, it's not Ecuador, it's El Salvador.
All right. Damn.
Had to correct you there. Real time.
I'm stupid. Don't know it. Don't care. Who's today's Hitler?
Put in total dirtbags into positions where they have to... It's like essentially hiring the Suicide Squad to defend your city.
Yeah. Not a bad way to put it. It was all just dirty, filthy criminals and like just people who didn't give a fuck. I mean, they were literally there to make money and not have to live by the rules of society.
What are we, some kind of Suicide Squad?
Pretty much.
That's a terrible movie. Terrible line. The fact that Will Smith had to deliver that,
Yeah.
I'm sure it ate away at him.
Yeah. He likes that director. This is his second movie with David Ayer.
Yeah, he's kind of fallen off. Actually, I don't think Will Smith has a movie over like 70% on Rotten Tomatoes. Not that that matters.
No. I don't care about that at all.
No.
Well, that's all I got for today.
Yeah, boy.
You're welcome. St. Louis made this country what it is.
We'll be back on Patreon this week, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got for Dan Regester. I'm Rob Fox.
You just got sauce served.